What's going on, guys? Dan here from Skateboard Strength, and today I'm taking you through a follow-along guide pulling from practices such as yoga, pilates, foam rolling, and self-myofascial release techniques in order to give you a complete recovery day specific to skateboarders. So in terms of equipment for today, we're basically going to be using a mobility ball. If you haven't got one of these, you can supplement it with a baseball, or for us Aussies, a cricket ball will do, or some kind of a softball, any kind of ball that's decent in terms of hardness, and it's about this size. We're also going to be using a foam roller. Now, if you haven't got one of these, I highly recommend you buy one. The versatility in terms of what you can do with it and how much benefit it yields over to skaters in terms of recovery is quite beneficial. So you can pick them up online quite cheap, something around 20 bucks or $10 for the US viewers out there. So highly recommended. Something around this size is all you need. For those that don't have foam rollers, we can simply leave out the foam roller exercises and simply continue on with the other exercises in the program. Another quick note on how to interact with this workout. Feel free to hit the pause button at any stage to give yourself some more time to really sit into some stretches. I'll give you some rep ranges and sets required as we go along that'll pop up on the screen, but I am specifically moving through this workout quite quickly for viewing purposes and in order to get it up on YouTube. But again, just take your time with it. If you're feeling quite rushed, then just keep up with me and then work through it. You still get a really good workout and you still get a lot out of it. But again, this is gonna be best served if you can spend a bit of time really ease into some of these stretches, and if you feel certain areas need a bit more attention, all right, spend a bit more time paying a bit more attention to those and move quicker through the others. Now we got that out of the way, let's get it started. So the first thing you're gonna start by releasing is the feet. Now what you're gonna do is grab a chair and then grab your mobility ball and simply sit down, and you're gonna place your ball on the ground, and then you're just basically going to roll up and down in the arches of your foot, rolling all the way in and around, back and forth. And we're just gonna spend a bit of time doing this. And again, remember, don't go to the point or add so much pressure that you feel like you have to hold your breath, all right, or that you're tensing up. You should be able to roll through this and apply enough pressure so that you feel it. And it just depends. If you've never done this before, as soon as that ball touches your feet, especially with skaters and how tight their feet are, you're gonna wanna clench up, all right? And it's gonna feel really aggressive. Just take some of that load off and just keep rolling back and forth, over and through. And then after you've done that for a little bit, I basically want you to stop. Now you'll find these little gnarly bits underneath your foot, like when the ball makes contact with it, and you feel like there's like a little marble in there or something like that, all right, these little tough bits. Once you find one of those bits, I basically want you to stop at that point and then flex and extend at the toes. So you're gonna go back and forth, flexing and extending all the way back and forth, and you slowly start to feel that release a bit. Once you've gotten to that point, again, you're gonna continue to roll back and forth through, and again, find a little spot, and then you're just gonna hover on that a little bit again. All right, so back and forth, breathing throughout the entire time, back and through. From there, we're simply just gonna swap sides, and again, we're gonna start with the rolls, through, and then again, taking your time to find a spot, and then flexing and extending at the toes. Once you find one, back in and around, and again, just working those different points where you can flex and extend the toes. Now this is huge for skaters. Skaters really rely on their feet, and they tend to be quite tight in the arches. So at any point, if you want to just press pause and then just continue to work this a little bit longer, feel free to do so. It's also good to note that you can actually do this all individually. I've set these all out in a little bit of a workout because they will build from each other and work on certain characteristics and mobilizing joints as we work up the chain. But feel free to use these separately and on your own as you see fit. So from there, now that we mobilize the feet, we're basically gonna go into a calf stretch. So you think about where the calves coming out of the bottom and then inserting around the bottom near the arch supporting the foot. We want to try to release those calves. So you're basically just going to come up to the wall like so, get your foot or get your toes up against the wall, and you're basically just going to try and move forward as much as you can. And you'll feel that stretch out the bottom and out over the top here of that calf. All right, if you can't feel that, get those toes higher up against the wall and then try and come forward as much as you can. So you're basically just trying to move, get nice and close, and you get yourself a nice big stretch with that calf, and you're just gonna hold in this position. So again, you shouldn't be tensing up. Just breathe, big breaths in and out. throughout this movement. And just give it a nice big hold. So from there, we're gonna change over to the other side. Now, it is recommended that you hold this stretch up until about a minute, because up until that minute is where you'll get that last bit of release and get that tension just kind of released out. I am kind of moving through this a little bit quicker than what you probably would if you were doing it on your own, just to kind of get through this and for the sake of putting the content out. Awesome. So once you release both calves, and now we've released the feet, we're basically gonna go into a ankle mobility stretch, all right? So we're basically gonna use what we've just done in terms of stretching out the calves and stretching out the feet, all right? You're gonna have one foot down on the ground and then one foot up. Have that start with that hip underneath the knee, because it's gonna allow you room to move forward. So from there, we're just gonna try and mobilize that ankle. So we're gonna try and push that knee over the toe as much as possible whilst keeping the foot on the ground. So you're gonna push through as much as you can, hover around in this point here. You can even put your elbow down like so, back and forth, and just try and go side to side that little bit and then come back, all right? And then again, come through, go a nice big hold in this position, try and keep that heel down like that. Just then I let my heel come up. So try and keep that heel down, hold for extended periods, and then come back. I'm gonna go one more. It's really important to note as you come down, allow that arch to drop down. Don't dig your big toe in. That arch and dropping down will allow that talus to drop down and allow you to get more range from your ankle. And this is really important for people that suffer from things like hot pockets or like ankle mobility issues. We're just gonna let that arch support drop down, get that knee over the toe as much as possible. And we're just gonna hover in this position here, back and forth, all right? And then from there, I actually want you to do some repetitions. So you're gonna go back and forth like that, and we're just gonna take advantage of that nice stretch position that we were just holding, and we come all the way out into the end, back and forth for some reps. So from there, we'll do the same thing on the other side. We're just gonna change over. Again, we're gonna do some holds. Apply your forearm to the end of your knee to give a bit of resistance to hold down. Again, make sure that your heel isn't lifting up off the ground. You're just gonna big hold like that, and then come back. Again, we're gonna hold, and then come back. Last one, nice big hold on the bottom there. And come back, and then now again, we're just gonna come forward and back. Just take advantage of that range of motion. Slight pauses at the end range, coming back and through. If you need to bring that back knee a bit closer forward, so that allows you to take advantage of that range and get a bit further over, that's fine. Just find your comfortable spot that allows you to just kind of glide back and forth and through. Okay, so now we're moving on and we're gonna continue to work up the chain. We're gonna still stay on our calves because, as I mentioned before, calves are huge for skaters. They always tend to be overworked and really tight. So we're gonna make sure we give them a little bit of extra love. So we're gonna start with this foam rolling technique for our calves. So grab your foam roller, put one foot on, put the other foot up over. Okay, so from there, you can do two options. This is quite aggressive, but I usually allow people to do this to start so they feel what it can, like, or what it should feel like. Lifting your bum up, you're gonna roll back and forward over your calves, starting from just behind the ankle all the way up to just behind the knee. Don't roll underneath, or behind the knee, go to just where the knee starts. And you're gonna roll back and forth like so, choosing different angles to go back and forth. Now, for a lot of you, especially if you haven't done this before, that's gonna be too aggressive, but it is good to feel that to start, because what I find is if we go straight to this one, most people will just go, oh yeah, like I don't feel it. But what they're often doing is they're lifting their knee up and not applying enough pressure as they come through on the back of that calf. So for those of you that does feel a bit too aggressive, all right, you can start with this approach, putting your foot up and over, and you can roll back and forth. What's nicer is to roll side to side like so. So you're gonna roll side to side, and you're gonna slowly start to work your way up your calf, okay? And then again, like we did with the mobility ball and the toes, This one's gonna be a bit different. I'm just gonna get you, when you find a spot that's really gnarly, to flex and extend the foot back and forth. So you see that foot flexing and extending in those gnarly spots, and then again, you kind of continue to roll back and forth. You can go up and down a little bit as well, get those little gnarly spots out, continue to roll, and again, flexing and extending at the foot, continue to roll through all the way until you get behind the knee. So from there, you're gonna change to the other side. So again, roll back and forth, try and find some spots, start to flex and extend at the foot when you need it. Continue to roll, keep going through. Oh, that's tight. Back and forth on that spot, and then I'll flex and extend there. Cool. Moving all the way up and making sure you get kind of like both ends of that calf, because especially out on this side here, you tend to get quite tight. And again, continue to roll all the way up and through to behind your knee. Okay, so next we're gonna roll up to the ITB. So the mistake most people make with this is applying too much pressure on that ITB as you come over. So I'm gonna show you techniques in terms of how to alleviate that pressure, allow you to breathe through the movement. So set yourself up with the foam roller just above your knee. Now, the elbow that you're on, and then as you whip this leg around up and over, this leg and this elbow and even this hand will allow you to take some pressure off that ITB, all right, or that foam roller. So if this is the first time you've done this, or if you skate a lot, these bad boys are gonna be really tight and you can really feel quite aggressive and like it's too much. Take some load off. You should be able to roll back and forward, up and down, like so. A few times you can turn your hips forward a little bit as well to allow you to roll back and forward and get a little bit more quad. And once you've done that a bit, we're then gonna go into this flexion, like flexing and extending at the knee. So start close to the knee and we're gonna flex and extend the knee. All right, so you can see that back side there. I'm gonna flex and extend. And again, like if you're applying too much pressure, you'll get to here and just feel like it's too much. Take some load off the roller and allow yourself to flex and extend that knee completely. We're gonna continue to roll all the way. Keep going up all the way through. Just adjust that so I stay in the shot. All the way up. And once you get to the end, you can even get a bit of that front of that hip flexor like so. Turning back and forth. Spend a bit of time on that. So from there, we're just gonna do the other side as well. So, starting there, again, elbow, hand, and foot. Take some load off. We're gonna go back and forth a little bit, adjusting the roller. You get a little bit higher, through, all the way. Nice and easy. Taking some nice big deep breaths in and breathing out as you do this. And then again, we're gonna go flex and extend at the foot, at the knee, nice and close to the knee starting. And anytime you feel like it's too much, just take that big breath in. It'll give you a guide as to where you need to be in terms of pressure. And continue to go through all the way. Again, getting close to that hip, and then at that hip, you can just roll back and forth that little bit. So from there, we're basically gonna put our roll down, and we're just gonna we're gonna start with one knee down and kick that leg out straight as much as you can. So you wanna try and have that that ankle in line with the knee, not have it behind or too far up, like so. And from there, have your hands pretty much just starting underneath your shoulders. You're gonna rock back all the way and then rock forward as much as you can. Now, if your hip flexors and your quads are tight up front, you may only be able to get to here, that's fine. Don't force it. You keep your arms locked out straight. Don't bend them like you're doing a push-up. So we're gonna go rock back all the way through, back and forth, like so, down and up. You should feel that adductor getting stretched here, those hamstrings back and forth. So if you look at this from side on, keep going. You're gonna go there, back and forth, through And now we're just gonna go, before we change sides, put your hand here behind your back, or sorry, behind your neck. You're gonna reach under, open up as much as you can, reach under, open up, back and through. Now we're just gonna change sides. You're gonna go again, here, rock all the way back, forward, all the way back and through. And again, feeling that adductor stretch out, coming all the way down, back and forth. We're gonna go about 8 to 10 repetitions, and then we're gonna switch. We're gonna reach, open up, reach, open, back and forth. We'll go about 6 to 8 repetitions on this as well. And again, just make sure you don't force the movement and try and get us really high unnecessarily. Just go to where you kind of feel a bit of resistance, hold there and come back. Now, with that last exercise, the adductor rock backs and the adductor T opener, make sure you do 2 to 3 rounds. So press pause now and get through another 2 to 3 rounds, and then we'll continue on. Okay, so bringing our chair back and getting our mobility ball again, we're gonna give some love to our hamstrings. So basically, what you're trying to do is work in and around the back of your thighs. And I know it's super awkward, but even getting up top in and around that groin area, it tends to get quite overstretched, especially if you think about all the times, kind of like one foot lands on the board and you kind of slip away, your groin tends to get pulled quite a bit, and even in terms of things like push stride. So I know it's super awkward, but you really need to kind of get all the way out and top. You feel like a little bony process and getting just shy of that when we do this, but I'll show you what I mean as we work through it. So you're basically gonna sit down and grab the ball, and then basically lift one leg up, and again, like we did with everything else, you're just gonna roll up and down. I find it easier to kind of sit on a little bit of an angle, so you can grab either side of the chair and then go back and forth like so. And again, you're just trying to find different spots, grab the ball, go to different angles. And then when you find a little gnarly spot, we're gonna sit and we're just gonna try and flex and extend at the knee, back and forth, and see how you go there. Again, move up a little bit, flex and extend at the knee, going back and forth, and then even placing it a little bit higher, back and up. Now, this is the awkward part. You're not supposed to do this whilst looking at other people in the eyes if you're doing it in the gym, but try and get right up and top in that groin, and then kind of sit and then roll back and forth, and just really try and get into that top bit. You'll feel it. Don't actually hit that bony process. All right, come just shy of that. You'll know when you're going too far, and then just kind of sit. For a lot of you, it's just gonna be really, really gnarly, and you're gonna feel a lot of tension in there. Again, this is why we have our hands on either side of the chair, so we can take some load off and not have it be so aggressive. And we'll roll back and forth, and then again, just continue to move, flexing, extending. Now from there, we're just gonna go stop into the other side. And again, I'll probably work through this side a little bit quicker just to make time. Back and forth. And then again, we're just gonna flex and extend at the knee, finding different little spots. It's important to pay attention to those little spots when you find them. Mine are gonna be quite different to yours. So it's really about feeling them out and seeing when you kind of feel that gnarly bit, and then you can just stop and then flex and extend at the knee, and then don't forget to come out to the top and get into that gnarly spot. So from there, we're gonna move our chairs away, put our balls back, and now we're gonna stretch our hips or our glutes. Now, if you can, I want you to go into what we call a pigeon stretch. So I want you to try and get your knee in front of your hip, like so, and then your ankle in line with your knee. And from there, I should do on this side, just so you get a bit of a better view. Now, trying to drop your hip down towards the ground, and then giving it a nice big hold, okay? So again, you should be able to breathe throughout this. Some of you might start with your hip quite high, that's fine. The idea is just to let this hip drop down a little bit and start to get further down. But again, you should be able to breathe throughout this movement. Sometimes, now we've taken care of our ITB, so hopefully it won't feel it as you get into that position, but a lot of people with knee pain can experience that irritation as they get into that position. So the regress version of this is if you can't do that, you're simply gonna lay on your back, cross this foot up over, bring this one up, so the back of my ankle, side of my ankle is on the knee, and then your hands grab on the inside and then pull that knee or pull that leg towards your chest. Okay, so again, it's just gonna stretch out the outer side of the hip, and you may be all the way out here and need to pull, that's fine, but try and pull as much as you can. And we're just gonna hold this position. And again, you're gonna breathe. So whether you're doing the pigeon stretch or this one here, nice big deep breaths, and really trying to hold this position for about a minute. I'm gonna rush through it again, but if you need to, in particular, if you feel like you're getting a really big stretch or like this is really tight or something you need to work on, definitely press pause, go even 2 to 3 rounds of holding out the minute and just holding that position. So from there, we're gonna switch sides. So again, coming up and over, get the side of your ankle in line with your knee, reach in, grab and pull back. And just for the ones doing pigeon stretch, I'll go over that. Again, having your knee in front of your hip, having your ankle in line with your knee. You're gonna lift up that little bit like so, and then try and drop your back hip towards the ground. You'll see this hip has a lot more range than my other one, and you tend to find that as well from side to side, especially when we dominate so much with our back leg when we skate. It tends to do a lot more work in terms of the push stride and in terms of popping. So whether you're goofy or whether you're regular, that back foot will tend to be a lot tighter. You can see this one, I can pretty much get it towards the ground, and the other one was heaps stiffer. And that's gonna be normal as well. So if you want to spend a bit of extra time on your back foot side that you skate with, feel free to do that as well. Cool, so from there, we're just kind of gonna go through 3 different variations in terms of mobility for those hips, just to kind of solidify that stretching and that self-myofascial release work. So we're gonna do what's called a 90-90. So you basically wanna set yourself up with your ankles quite a bit in front of your knees. So you see, I'm like in this position here, like so, staying upright. The first variation is to have your hands back behind you, okay? And then you're just gonna try and get nice and loose, back and forth, like so, and try and drop those knees down side to side. Now you may only be able to get to here, that's fine. Just stay loose there and try and drop side to side. The idea is that you go really slow, is that you just try and open up that bit, right? And then even start trying to like kind of hover a little bit there, hover a little bit to the side, and then try and get your knees eventually all the way down, side to side, both sides, like so. Now, from there, I actually want you to perform 3 rounds of this. You can go from there, lifting your hands up and then trying to rotate side to side, like so. Now, what I find most people get wrong when they do this is as they go to open up, their upper body will try and rotate away because they feel like they're almost falling. Allow your shoulders to go with the movement, side as you come over, side to side, back and forth, to allow you to go through the movement and get those hips nice and mobile. And you're also starting to get a bit of that upper back movement, upper back thoracic rotation into the movement. So that's your second variation, if you can do it. If not, you just simply stick to the first one, all 3 rounds, and you're gonna do about 30 seconds of work and give yourself a little rest and then go again. And now the third variation is where we try and get our feet off the ground. So starting say like here, as soon as you can, you wanna try and lift your heels up off the ground and then rotate to the side. Now, in order to build up into this, you may get to here and then lift your heels up, heels down, and then drop, come up, heels down, and then drop. And that'll slowly start to increase to being able to get those heels off the ground sooner, rotating back and forth as you come over side to side. So now we're not only incorporating mobility in terms of solidifying what we've done in terms of the stretch, the pigeon stretch for our hips, but now we're incorporating some stability at those hips in order to get that extra challenge as we go back and forth. So hit the pause button and then work through that 3 rounds, depending on which variation you have. If you can do all 3, do a variation per round. And if you can't, just stick to the variation you can, hit the pause button and see how you go. All right, so for this next one, for a lot of skaters, again, we mentioned the backside foot on our boards tends to get quite tight from all the popping action and tends to be quite dominant. What tends to happen is we get tight, so like that bottom, like the bottom of the lower back, the glute and the QLs. So this exercise in particular is just designed to kind of really stretch that out and try and lengthen this out. Okay, so we're gonna start similar to the 90-90. I'll do this side so you can kind of see it. All right, so you start with having your knee in front of your hip, having that ankle in front of the knee, and then again at this side, knee in front of the hip, and then the ankle in front of the knee. Ankle in line with the knee. From there, the side that's the knee is in front, you're gonna drop onto that elbow. So bear with me here as I move away. So you're gonna drop onto that elbow, like so. I move this out of the way. And then with this other hand, you're gonna reach in and around on a bit of an angle like so. And you're just gonna hold in that position. And you'll feel all of this start to lengthen out and really stretch out. You're just gonna take some nice big deep breaths in, and then big deep breaths out. And each time, you're just trying to reach away a little bit more, and a little bit more. So with each breath in, breathe out, and then reach away just a little bit more. And you really feel yourself start to open up, and all of this to start to lengthen out. Big hold, and then change sides. So you'll see a little bit more on this side now as I go through. Apologies, so now I'm gonna go right leg forward, okay, create those angles again, and then now I'm gonna go right arm down like so, and then reach in and around. And again, you feel that stretch. Big breath in, and then big breath out. Nice to reach away a little bit. Hold for a second there. Big breath in, and then big breath out. One more, big breath in, and then big breath out. There, hover there for a sec. All right, cool. So from there, we're just gonna try and take advantage of that now. So similar to the 90-90s, we're basically gonna go same position for those 90-90s, but now we're gonna use the upper body to rotate and stretch into that position that we just kind of took advantage of in that stretch. So we're just gonna go drop, reach around, back and forth, reach around, through, side to side. And now we're just gonna do some repetitions of that. Allow yourself to give it almost like a little pause. If you need to hold, drive, just be careful that your feet aren't getting further away from you. Trying to keep them equal distance or same amount of distance close to your bum or your thighs, back and forth, and that's it. So from that, I would actually recommend you go and do another round of both. Include the stretch on both sides, and then do the 90-90 with reach on both sides. Hit the pause button, see how you go. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna grab our foam roller, we're gonna get into our upper back. So we're gonna set the foam roller on the ground. Now, what's really important is where you set it up. So if you put your hand behind your back, like you feel where your shoulder blade is, or where your shoulder blade kind of starts, you're gonna go just underneath that. You don't wanna go too low because it'll force you to kind of like overarch and clench up. Okay, so I'm gonna place that foam roller like so into that position. I'm gonna put my hands behind my head. I'm gonna take a big breath in and then breathe out. And as I breathe out, I'm gonna let myself unwind over the roller like so. So big breath in, breathe out, allow yourself to come back. Big breath in, breathe out as you come down, and we're just gonna go back and forth like this. And each time it's gonna allow you to go further and further down. Now, what you don't wanna do is just really think about expanding the rib cage and as you come down, creating or overarching that lower back to do so. You almost want to think about keeping that lower back in the same position and allowing the movement, allow yourself to unwind from that upper back, not from the lower back. That's the place that we're trying to get this movement from, to unwind and come back. Big breath in, and allow yourself to come down. So from there, you can actually roll your back. Now, what you just want to be careful with is going too far down. So I'm going to get you to lift your bum up a little bit, and we're going to roll up and down slightly, back and forth. Support your neck. If you need to, I get my hands out of the way just so you can kind of see it, but like back and forth. Just make sure that you don't go so far down that you want to like hold your breath too much or it feels too aggressive, and just play around with that movement and where you're kind of hitting. So back and forth, and then you can even kind of sit out on the side a little bit, like so, and get those QLs lengthened out like we were talking about before, get quite tight from all the popping. Back and forth on this side, through, go back and forward, like so. All right, so now once we've done that, we're gonna do 2 exercises back to back. We're gonna do 2 rounds of this, or 2 to 3 rounds. The first one's a cat-cow, so we're trying to take advantage of that spinal flexion extension. So hands turned out towards the side, you got your knees underneath your hips and your wrists underneath your shoulders. I'm gonna take a big breath in as I push my spine towards the ceiling as much as possible. And then as you breathe out, you're gonna go the complete opposite. So again, breathe in, spine towards the ceiling, and then breathe out. Last one, big breath in. Sorry, let's keep going. Go 2 more. Okay, so from there, we're gonna grab our roll up. We're gonna sit ourselves up in the same position, so your hand underneath your shoulder. You're gonna have the roller out to one side. Now, this opposite hand comes up and goes on the roller, and from there, you're just gonna try and push away with the roller, like so. So drive, don't start sitting your hip back, like so, or being really aggressive with it. Just try again, breathe in, and then breathe out. As you breathe out, you're gonna try and push that roller away. And the idea is that we're just trying to mobilize that T-spine into rotation. So the other one was like kind of flexing extension at the spine. Now we're just trying to mobilize into rotation, which is huge for skaters. We tend to get quite blocked up there from all our rotational tricks. Back and forth and just kind of being hunched over the board for so long. So this is what these 2 movements are all about. So from there, we'll go the other side, changing over. So again, setting yourself up, knees underneath your hips, wrists underneath your shoulder. Again, arm in, breathe out, back and forth. Let yourself get a little bit further out each time. Big breath in, and then last one. Cool, so the cat-cow and the thread the needle with the foam roller, I definitely recommend that you do at least another 2 to 3 rounds with that. Not the stretch itself, but just the cat-cow and the foam roller, thread the needle. Do another 2 to 3 rounds for the reps required. You'll probably see them pop up here on the screen, and then hit the pause button, get through that, and we'll continue on. Okay, so this comes to the last bit of the program where we just look to solidify everything that we've just done, take advantage of the stretch positions that we've just put ourselves in, the self-myofascial release, and take you through some movements that are gonna closely resemble movements that you tend to find yourself trying to hit on a skateboard. So the first thing we're gonna do is like a big squat T opener. Now, you're basically gonna start with your feet about just outside shoulder width apart. You're gonna come down and you're gonna reach just as low as you can go. So for some people, bring your hands on the inside of your legs. This is gonna be here, this could be here. It doesn't really matter where you end up. For some of you, may actually get all the way down into your toes. What's important is that you can keep your back straight. So thinking about having your back straight, come down to the point where you feel your back start to kind of curve over, and just come shy of that. And from that position, you're just gonna drive your knees out with your elbows, like so, or whatever it is that you've kind of landed on. So you could just be here, you could be here, and you could get your elbows to kind of really be able to hit your knees and drive your knees out. Or if you get all the way down, you could really just kind of hold this bottom position like so, and then driving. Nice big hold, back and forth. Nice big breaths. Just hold as long as you can. Remember, if you feel like yourself like you're giving out, you can take a second to just stretch out and then come back down into it. Or even if you're here, just allow yourself a second to come up and then hold again. We're just gonna hold for like 30 seconds. Perfect. And from there, you can give yourself a second to come up. Now we're gonna play around with the squat T opener. So holding whatever position you're in, I wanna open up side, back, side, and forth. I'm just gonna rotate back and forth from side to side. So again, from front on, if you're here, just trying to open up, back and forth, whatever position you kind of got into, trying to get that T-spine mobile to rotate through. Remember, don't force the movement, back and forth. And give yourself a second if you need to come back. And again, we're just gonna go about 30 seconds to a minute of work, going back and forth into these positions. Good. Perfect. So from there, we're gonna go into this half lunge position rotation. So we're gonna grab our foam roller like so. We're gonna get yourself into like a little bit of a lunge position. So the outside leg is forward, and you're gonna have the foam roller hard up against the wall, and then you're gonna allow that inside of that knee to apply some pressure on that roller in order to keep it into this spot. Make sure the bottom leg's in a lunge position, don't have it straight, so drop it down. And you can see I've kind of created 90 degrees here. My hip's probably just a little bit higher, but that back leg's in around 90. So from there, I'm just gonna get you to hold at the wall like so, and I'm gonna get you to trace and open up. Come back, reach a little bit, reach, trace along that inside of the arm, and then open up, come through, trace, and then open up. We're just gonna keep going like this, through, and then you can even throw some reps in where you come up and around as much as you can, through, up, and around, and then even just going straight out, across, back, and forth. Now we're gonna grab the roller, do the same thing on the other side. So again, look for that position, have the roller on the inside. Again, we're gonna grab like so, trace, and then open up, reach, trace, open up. Last bit, trace, open up. Now we're gonna go up and around and come back, up and around and come back. One more like that and come back. Now we're just gonna open for another 3. So 3 of each variation is gonna be plenty before then grabbing and then moving on. So the last variation now that we're gonna do is what we call a single leg deadlift in an opener. Now what's important here, bear with me because I might start hitting this, is that you lean into the wall in order to do this. So thinking bottom position, like so, in our single leg deadlift position, and open. As you come up, you're gonna bring the leg in, excuse me, wrong side. All right, so you're gonna have the inside leg hard up against the wall, all right, outside leg so that you can lean, all right? So you're gonna start in this position here, like so, all right? You're gonna come in, open up, and try and come out into this position here. So as you rotate, see how I'm allowing this inside leg, that's how I knew I had it wrong, to give me some support, and my back is actually on the wall here. So open up as much as you can, and then as you kick this back leg in, you're gonna come, you're gonna try and open up, and then rotate through as much as you can. So nice and slow, open through, coming up, rotate, through. Again, don't force the movement. Go nice and slow. Use the wall as much as you can. So from there, we'll go again. Inside leg here. So start open. We're gonna come out and through as much as you can. Back and open. Open up. Big hold. Come back. Open up the side. And again, just go as slow as you need to for these repetitions. Go a nice big hold. Pause either end, explore your ranges, and opening up. So now that you got these free exercises, for the final part of this program, I want you to hit the pause button and work through 3 rounds in circuit style for the reps required. That should pop up somewhere on this screen. And that's it. Hope you guys got a lot out of this. Hope you feel relaxed, recovered, more mobile, and ready for your next skate. If you did get a lot out of this, hit the like and subscribe button for future content coming out exclusive to this YouTube channel, specific for skaters. And if you really got a lot out of this and you want to show some love, share around with the homies that could use the help.